So, today here I'm joined by the new crew of Waffle Capital FM. So I think we should start by introducing...
Also known as the new generation.
Exactly. So I think we should start by introducing each other.
So I'm Lorenzo Berretti.
I'm the co-host Pietro Enrico.
I'm Rustam Tarico.
And your other co-host, Luigi Vita. So, we will be discussing basically the same things, but better and funnier. And I think we can already start to dive in the first topic.
We'll start off with climate change and how it can affect our environment.
So, Rustam, tell us, please, what do you think about global emissions?
So I feel like global emissions are a huge problem, especially because of the fact that they create the greenhouse gas effect. And plus, the greenhouse gas effect affects the temperature rise of the Earth. So we know that in recent years, the Earth's average surface temperature has risen by about 1.2 degrees Celsius. And the majority of the warming occurred in the past 2 decades.
Yeah,
Interesting fact.
that is interesting. How did you just come up with that? Like, did you do your research prior to this?
Of course.
Interesting.
Came you prepared?
How can
What'd
we
you look at
manage this
we-
conflict of like this temperature rising
Exactly.
1.2
What do you think
degrees
we can
Celsius
do?
a year?
Well,
What
I
can we
feel
do?
like to stop temperature rise, I feel like everyone has to recycle, everyone has to stop using and decrease their personal emission profile. So I feel like they should travel less by airplane. When they can, they should carpool. They should use the bike, for example, which doesn't make any emissions.
Yeah, so
wait,
so
I have a question though.
Yeah, no, wait.
Okay.
So, measuring our ecological footprint, right, before this podcast, we saw that the person with the most Earths
Is
was you.
What was the number
So
that you had?
I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was how many hours of flighting?
It was around 200 hours of flight.
So
That's
crazy.
I think
impressive.
what
Like
can
40
you
max.
do to?
Well, I definitely can stop traveling, and I feel like stop using planes less, and maybe instead of flying, I can probably just stay in Milan.
Can you also raise public awareness with this?
I feel like, of course, I feel like I would promote the fact that flying is actually one of the biggest contributors to our personal emissions profile, and that I think that should really discourage flying in general.
Pietro, so I'm pretty sure that you used to live in Miami, and of course, during like all year round, it was pretty darn hot, right?
Of course.
So please tell us, like, how it affected the environment around you, please.
Miami is a very cold, very tropical area. I've not lived there many years, but
Is 15 years not enough for you?
it was not 15 years
right,
actually.
sorry,
I
my
lived
bad.
there a couple years. But I have noticed actually the sea level rising each year. But you know, it's not that big of a topic in Miami, but really what I wanted to do when I was taking environment studies in Miami, I would love to raise public awareness to bring the others to join me and my community to solve this problem together. But it's been very challenging for me only living there a couple years. Rustam, what can we do?
Well,
Should we all be taking a class?
well, I feel
about
like
ESS?
definitely even the people who are not interested in environmental sciences should at least have, for example, an hour per week of environmental studies, just because of the fact that it's crucial to saving our planet, and only one person can't save the planet. Like, it has to be us as a whole, and it has to be us as a community. So everyone needs to be informed on how we can save the
I
planet.
think we could, with Miss Clevin, create like a
I think we should replace advisory with a class.
that
that teaches
smart.
us about the environment.
I think
For
that
example, like every other week, we can have like a class that can help us learn how to save the environment.
Bring all the ASM students together and like.
But do you
be
think, right? Do you
sustainable.
think that by doing that, people will start to dislike kind of they won't be as incentivized as before, because many times what happens is that, like, when you exaggerate something and when you always talk about it, then people will be less inclined
Yeah.
to do that thing.
But
so
bro-
if we do that with the environment, do you guys think that this, like, it
You're
could
creating
potentially-
public awareness. You're making the students like aware of their surroundings and like what they're doing. They're gonna be more sustainable. You know what I mean?
I think, well, I honestly disagree, guys. I disagree. Because while I do think that we should raise awareness, I think it shouldn't be once every other week. It should be once every 2 months, where we just sit down an hour and they teach us about the environment. Because
Of course.
most of us will get bored of it. We take ESS, and of course we'll think that it's not that bad, but someone who doesn't really care for ESS and doesn't care that much as us for the environment, because we're all environmentally
Yeah, but they're gonna learn how
conscious.
like
Not
the
everyone
environment is gonna work, like how it's gonna get affected.
But I think at the root of it, at the basic knowledge, everybody has that. Everybody has that basic knowledge where they're like,
I don't
oh,
think
I
so.
shouldn't be throwing plastic. I shouldn't be doing this. I
But
shouldn't be doing
yes,
that.
but that's
I
basic
think-
concepts. But they don't realize how bad, like how much it damages the environment, the ocean, every single ecosystem we know. They don't know that.
They don't know that, but do they need to know that? Because at the end of the day, we're exposed on social media to environmental issues about like animals dying, and it's a pretty viral clip, but like there's a sea turtle getting a straw out of its nose. Like that's very viral. It had millions of views through social media. I think that's where we can make the
Yeah.
most change. I think that if we post more environmental things,
Yeah.
then awareness will be raised. But if we do it in class, which is basically a place where a student, you're bored, at the end of it, you start to despise your class. You just want to get out of school, get there, get out, and boom, you're done. So I think that we should do it through social media, because all of us have TikTok or Instagram. And that's where most
To
change
add
can be
on,
affected.
I think we could add like government intervention. No, we could like get
Connecting to Eco.
yeah. We cannot
Totally.
protest, but get the
Issues.
government.
Touching on the subject of like having ESS classes that are required for everyone, maybe instead of having like a class, students will be forced to go, for example, to conservation events, for example, like that can help the environment around us. For example, we have forests in Milan, maybe something to help plant trees or help animals that are endangered. Also, touching on the subject of the ocean, rising sea levels can affect many different communities. And for example, in the Maldives, the rising sea levels are causing the country to disappear, and experts estimate that almost in 30 years, the country will completely disappear due to rising sea levels.
I mean,
That's
guys,
crazy.
like
That's crazy.
the place
That's
where we
crazy.
all know and love, that's gonna
Yeah.
be underwater in less than 30 years.
Talking about
Think
sorry.
about all the people that are living there.
Yeah, talking about you were marine and marine life and the Maldives. I'm sure you went scuba diving. How's the ecosystem under there and the coral reefs? I'm sure a
Are
lot
they
of them.
bleached?
Do you find any plastic?
Definitely, definitely they're starting to get bleached. For example, when I first went scuba diving, which was like around 3-4 years ago, the corals, like I definitely saw a difference between now and 3 and 4 years ago. Because 3 and 4 years ago, the corals were a lot less bleached, and if you were to go to a different coral reef, it had a lot more color, there were a lot more fish, but due to coral bleaching, a lot of the fish had to leave the ecosystem. And I feel like as well, this is a big problem in many different countries, not only the Maldives, such as in Miami, for example, in the United States, also in Australia, in the Great Barrier Reef, it's experiencing many different mass bleaching events, which is completely destroying the ecosystem of the fishes. And can you imagine, like, if you're a fish living in the Great Barrier Reef, when the coral bleaches, you have no more food, you have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So that just leads to the fish being killed. So I feel like this is a massive problem, not only for the population of the Maldives, in this case, right, which is going to die because of the rising sea levels. It's also a problem for the animals and the local species of the Maldives. Can you imagine also
The food webs, food chains, how
the
they're
food
gonna
webs,
go
also
extinction.
the birds, for example, that eat the fish. Once there's gonna be no land, the birds
Yeah.
will have no space to live. And due to the really high migration times to India from the Maldives, most of these birds will just die out.
Yeah.
Touching, if we rotate a bit the topic, it's the staying in climate change. Looking now at South Pole and North Pole, our glaciers, how they're melting down actually by a lot each year due to climate change. As Rustam said before, like climate change affects polar bears, penguins, orcas. How now they don't have that cold weather to live in, and they're dying. They're increasing to die each year, which could lead to extinction. Baretti or Rustam, do you have anything to add on this? If you guys know or facts about it?
Well, I mean, during the winter break, I went to Patagonia in Argentina.
Yeah.
And I went to I think it's the city, like
Add on.
So I feel like this is actually a huge problem, especially for all the trophic levels in the ecosystems of the North and South Pole. So I feel like especially the polar bears, once the glaciers melt down, they'll have no like place
Habitat
to live,
to
no
live in.
habitat.
Yeah.
So they have to move to more southern places. For example, they would move from the North Pole to like northern Canada, and this is actually a really like common phenomenon that is actually occurring now, because a lot of people that are living in Canada, especially northern parts of Canada, they're starting to see more polar bears near their houses and near their villages. And I feel like this displacement of different species is a really huge problem, because this further on, if the North Pole start like completely dissipates, the polar bears will have nowhere to live.
Where do you think they will rotate once all the glaciers will be melted? What will happen
I
to
mean,
them?
it's said that they're, as you said already, they're going down.
Yeah.
They're going to northern Canada. They're going to Norway. But at one point, they're gonna die. They're gonna be
Yeah,
extinct because
We have
the
to do
weather,
something about this.
the temperatures
Terrible.
are too hot. Guys, we're telling ourselves that we have to do something about this, and this is the time.
Yeah.
There is no better moment than now. If we start to act now, our problems will be resolved by 2050 if all of us put in some effort to not use plastic, to not use, for example, to not use gasoline cars and try to use electric vehicles. On that topic, guys, on that topic,
Yeah.
what do we think about electric vehicles? And do we think that we should ban all gasoline cars and start to use electric vehicles more?
Well, I think electric vehicles are definitely a alternative to gasoline cars. However,
Do you think
I feel
they're
like,
sustainable though?
um,
Because if we think about it, yes, they're electric. You're not getting the
I
the
feel like-
gas. But at the same time, where do you recharge the car? What energy are you using from that
Exactly.
plug?
You're using actually renewable energy. The only problem, guys, is the battery. The battery, you know where we get that from? We get that from the cobalt mines in the DRC. And you know
Yeah.
how we get that? By displacing people's homes and by displacing animals' habitats. We kill all and everything that is in those zones to get that cobalt to make...
Where does that cobalt go though? In China, Thailand, to make what?
To make batteries and phones.
To make batteries and phones.
So
So what does China give back to the DRC? Because obviously the DRC is not just giving cobalt away to China and Thailand.
China at the moment is only giving DRC very minimal.
Infrastructures.
Yeah, but very like they're poorly
the
built.
bare
They're
minimum.
poorly built. They're
Of
very
course.
minimum. We have to be honest here, guys.
Yeah.
China is using and kind of manipulating the corrupt DRC government by getting what they want. And what they want is to become a great power in the world. And by doing this, they're kind of affecting the transnational factors, because at the end of the day, climate change is a transnational factor, because
Yeah.
they will be polluting, and this doesn't stay only in the DRC's borders, but this stays in the world, and everybody is affected by this. So I think that legislation should be placed in order for China to stop with this kind of mining of cobalt, and we should find other solutions.
And again, another thing, just touching on the subject of electric cars that you mentioned before, and Norway especially, now connecting to the subject of economics, while researching for my first commentary for my economics internal assessment, I actually found the fact that Norway is one of the leading countries that is using electric cars, and almost 80% of vehicles in Norway are actually electric cars. Obviously, Tesla leading the market. And as you can
Guys, what
see,
do we learn about? Sorry to interrupt, but what do we learn about Norway and ESS? What are they the most popular in the world of? What do they do? Do you guys know it? Because I don't remember it. But
no, she did mention.
the Norway was like the
It
most
was-
sustainable in like the waste dump weight in the waste. Was
Yeah,
that
recycling.
Yeah, in recycling. It was number 3 in recycling.
on top with Germany and right? If
Germany was number 1.
Germany,
So
yeah,
guys, at the end of the
Switzerland,
day,
yeah.
at the end of the day, it is possible to make change.
Yeah.
It is possible because 50% of the waste is recycled in Germany. If we all did that collectively, I
Yeah.
think there's a chance for improvement.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Yes.
think that with that, we can end our podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you for our episode 1. Thank
And we'll
for
see you
listening.
guys for a podcast 2. And
in a while.
wow.
See you later. Brody, just a question, right, about raising awareness. Do you think that everybody in school should be taking a class about the environment and how we affect it?
I feel like, of course, we all take ESS here.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to take a class that kind of.
What? We all take ESS, but how could we help the community here?
don't.
No, aspetta, continua. How can we, guys, raga, anche se it's fine.
We're going on, bro.
Anche if you I recover it, but you don't laugh because then he laughs, bro.
Bro, because he's on the corner doing. Oh my god.
Yeah, don't do that. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, come on. Let's keep going. 3, 2,
Wait, hold on,
okay,
hold on.
3, 2, 1.
So, Rusta. Okay.
No.
Go.
Cattiamo e basta.
No, vai. Oh, now it's too late. We have to.
Okay, cut.
Okay.
No, Fra, dopo la domanda.
Three.
Aspetta,
Okay.
dopo la domanda.
Allora rifaccio la
e-
domanda,
Sì,
3. No, Pietro. It was good with the core race, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Ready. How can we connect to our ESS knowledge here with climate change, or maybe including the waste as Rustam was mentioning before?
Raga, io non so che
Fine. No, raga, we're not editing. Vabbè, ormai.
we're editing. But raga, io non so
We can cut it out, but why are you acting? Just
No, it's
What
not,
do you mean?
guys.
How
it's,
can
no,
we
look,
connect
look,
it, bro?
guys.
What do you mean? How can we
How,
connect
it's a discussion. If
It's
you
a-
say
it's
if
a-
you can
it's
say
talk
I don't
about
know,
it,
like
it's
I'm not that into ESS.
Just imagine like
Sì,
answering.
guarda la classe.
Imagine answering
No, you
Miss
were
Clem in
cutting
class, and now you're just answering.
How
us.
can
Bro,
we
We're
just
talking.
answer like 3
No,
months.
guys, you should not be scared. It's a normal
Yeah,
discussion.
it's just a normal discussion.
What if I don't know what to say though? Like,
It's fine. Say I don't know.
Just say-
I don't know about this topic
just say
that
it.
much.
It's
I'm
not
currently
really
failing
upset.
ESS, so I'm not sure.
No, guys. Again, because I don't know how to edit.
Fra,
We
dove-
just
Be
cut it.
serious.
dove-
Don't.
dove-
Yeah,
dove-
we were doing good.
Okay,
Okay, ready?
It was doing good, bro.
I'm
You
gonna say
just say
3,
random.
2, 1, and then
Bro,
start
what
the
am I
table.
supposed to say?
Okay, 3.
Wait. What's the question? Before, let's go to. Let's bring.
Maybe we just
what
cut this
part
part
of-
out?
What part of the? No,
Of
we'll
course
do
we're
after.
cutting it out.
So-
What part of the world is being the most affected right now by
Yeah,
climate
okay.
change?
You know what we should talk about? Like rising sea levels.
Yeah,
We
come
can
on,
talk about
come on.
Miami. Talk about Miami. Talk about Miami.
Let's
How it's
finish
rising sea
temperature
levels.
rise. We have to-
Okay, 5, 4,
4,
3, 2, 1.